Good. Basic for angels. Are you ready? Are you happy? Angels, angels. Beautiful angel. Are you happy? Are you ready to learn for today's class? Alright, let me see if you're ready. Basic for angels. What is agriculture? Industrial raw material. Good. Some requirement of crop growing. Let me hear you. Some requirement of crop growing. Number one. Number two. Number three. And number four. And number five. Number six. Number seven. Number seven. Good one. Number seven. All right, I'm happy seeing you guys here. You're welcome to this online class. Hi everybody, good day to you all. I'm sure you're doing good today. Yeah, I've missed you guys a lot. You're welcome to Pre-Vocational Studies online class from Humanities Department. I'm sure you know my name. Very good. I'm Glory by name. Let's move to the next slide. All right. Let me move this way. Okay. Sorry, I'm using my phone. It might not be as smooth and fast as expected. Our topic for today is what? Clothing construction processes. And I'm sure you are very much familiar with this. I just want to use this platform to show you some images and revise with you based on what we've discussed in classroom. Is that clear to everybody? Now the objective of the lesson still remains the same as it was before, as you should know the concept of what? The clothing construction processes. And you should also know some applicable example of some of these clothing construction processes. Good. Now, before we move into this lesson, I'm sure some of you are not reading. Okay, let's assume you're reading. I'm sure you're reading. But before that, I believe you understood what we discussed in class about clothing construction processes. But if not, please pay attention very well. And if yes, pay more attention. Thank you. Let's move to the class. Construction processes. Clothing construction processes, as it was said in classroom. This is a process that involves designing our clothes from clothing fabrics. We design clothing fabrics into various shapes, sizes, and patterns of our choice. Now I want you to pay close attention to some of these images. You will see the first one, you see a woman using what? A sewing machine. Now the last one here, the last one here is also part of the clothing construction processes. But with time, as we move on in the course of the lesson, you understand it better. Now, as you know initially, as you have known earlier on from class that clothing fabrics are sold from industries where they are produced in rolls. They are finally sold out in yards and in what? Trouser length. I think I explained that to you in classroom. And so we discussed about how clothing, like our school uniforms, our cardigans, our head warmer, socks, bedspread, the curtains in your home, clothing construction processes. Is that clear to you now? So I'm sure you should understand what I'm talking about. How we design our clothing. That's what we mean by clothing construction processes. Is that clear to you? Now follow me. Now, what are some of the types of clothing construction processes that we have? I think it was clearly established in the class that we have 3 types of clothing construction processes. Can you remember them? If yes, no problem. If no, pay attention. The first one is what we refer to as what? The sewing. The sewing involves the use of needle and thread to join pieces of clothing and fabrics together. Is that clear to you now? Now, when we make use of needle and thread, I'm sure you see this needle and this what? A thread. When we use it what? To join clothing fabrics together. Do you understand that now? This is what I'm talking about here. It's clothing fabric. You see a man here using sewing machine and what? Practicing sewing. So the first types of clothing construction process that was established in the classroom was what? Sewing, which is a process that involved the use of needle and thread to join what? Pieces of clothing fabrics together. Is that clear? And this can be done manually, that's with the use of hands. Can you see the first man here using hand with needle to join this material? I'm sure that's leather actually, but that's a sewing process being carried out there. And you see the other man here, this man using machine to what? To practice sewing. We have some techniques that are used in sewing, such as stitching, seaming, weaving and the likes. I'm sure subsequent class will deal with that. Let's move ahead. Now the second one is what we refer to as what? Knitting. What do I call it? Knitting. Could never forget that. When we refer to as knitting, it is a type of clothing construction process that involves use of woolen thread. Now this is how woolen thread look like. This is how woolen thread look like. Okay, good. This is how the woolen thread look like. They are usually in yarns. Are you getting it now? So we use them to what? To design some clothing articles such as cardigan, baby socks, head warmer, what have you, muffler. How many of you know muffler? When you're catching cold, you see that the material that looks like cardigan, and you put it around your neck. It's part of dressing. It's a dressing article actually. So knitting has been established that is a what type of clothing construction process that involves use of what? Woolen thread. Actually, we use knitting pins to form interlocks. Are you getting it now? We use knitting pins to form interlocks. Can you see it right here? Very good. You see it right here. Yeah. So we form interlocks to what? With the yarn or woolen thread to design clothing articles such as cardigan, socks, head warmer, etc. Is that clear to you? Good. Now let's move to the third one, which is crocheting. Crocheting, as it was said in class, that is a type of knitting process that involves the use of crochet hook to make widely spaced interlock. Now, please, I want your attention to be with me now. I'm ask some funny questions that to test your brain. Now, when we say crocheting, we are referring to is a type of knitting that involves the use of what? Crochet hook to form loops of yarn. Now, the main difference between crochet and knitting is this. Let me show you a diagram and illustrate that. Okay, good. Now here we have some articles that are made with crocheting process. Now the first one here, let me see if this can be clearly seen. No, here, this one here is a type of article that are made by the process of crocheting. Now, how is this being done? Is the crochet paint will be used in such a way that it will form a hole wide enough compared to knitted articles. Now, what do we mean by that? When you observe the female net cap, you will see that there are a lot of holes there. If you see it clearly, you will see that the space is quite different from cardigans. The space is quite different from the socks. Can you see that now? Very good. So that's what makes crochet to be more different from knitting. Are you getting it now? Crochet is just a type of knitting, but the main difference is the space that is in between the loops of the yarn. Are you getting it now? So some articles that are made with crochet include some shoes, some bags, table mats, women net cap, etc. Sure you get that? Good. Now let's take a short break by watching this video. I'll play it now. Please pay attention.
History of clothing. During the prehistoric era, people did not have clothes to wear. To cover themselves, they used leaves, animal skin, and furs. Later, people started making strands by twisting vines and animal fleas to weave them into fabrics. People draped fabrics of cotton, which grew in the Ganga regions. Flax, a natural fiber produced from the flax plant, was used in making fabrics. When the sewing needle was invented, people started stitching fabrics to make clothes. So, we use many clothes that are not stitched, like saris and dhotis. There are many kinds of fabrics available in the market today. Fabrics are made from yarn or fiber. Spinning of cotton. Spinning is the process of making yarn from fibers. Fibers from a heap of cotton are drawn out and twisted. The spinning of cotton is done by a spindle and a chakra. In the industries, spinning machines are used to spin large amounts of yarns. Fabrics are then made from yarns. Making fabrics. Let us see how yarns are converted into fabrics. Weaving. Weaving is the process to make a fabric by arranging two sets of yarns together. Let's try weaving to see how it works. Take 5 strips of red ribbon,
Can you see
5
how?
strips of white ribbon.
Please
Now
pay
start
attention to
weaving
how
the
that is
ribbons
being
by
done.
interlocking them with
Good.
each other. This is the way how weaving is done for 2 sets of yarn to make a fabric. The yarns are very thin, and the process of weaving of fabric is done by power or hand-operated looms. Knitting. We must have seen our mothers knit sweaters for us. The process of using a single yarn to make a fabric is known as knitting. Knitting at home can be done using knitting needles, and machines are used for the large-scale production of fabrics.
Good. I'm sure you learned from that video, isn't it? That's the history of clothing and what gotten from how clothing fabrics are what developed into different types of clothing articles that we wear today. Is that clear? Very good. So in case you have any question after this lesson, just forward your question to the link I'm going to show below, because there will be a Google Classroom. I'm going to share the link after this video. You can post in your questions, possibly comments. Thank you. Before you go, let's sing this beautiful song together. What is vocation? Nice one. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice time.